I noticed this tweet yesterday, celebrating Andor's increase of viewership from Season 1 to Season 2 by 40%. Now I thought, fair enough. Some of the episodes towards the end of Season 2 of Andor were some of the best Star Wars that Disney has made since buying it from George Lucas. So, seems fair enough. I mean, the show is 1,000 times better than anything else they've made, so if any of the shows are going to do well, you'd expect it to be Andor. The tweeter also included a link to the article, as well as a little graph that was used in the article to show the increase of viewership. Many Andor fans celebrated this, saying, well, of course it was the most popular show, but something just didn't feel right about the claim. So I headed off to the article to check out what it said. The article heading didn't seem like much of a celebration. The Disney Plus curse. How the streaming service hurt Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar brands. So yes, I'm guessing it wasn't the most favourable article, but scrolling down to the bit about Andor was quite interesting, because they did say the audience numbers had increased. Finally, there's Andor, the rare critical hit that proved to be the exception to the Disney Plus curse. It ended the first season with 674 million minutes streamed in the final week, having steadily built up its audience. By the end of the second season, the number leaped to 931 million minutes streamed, as critics and audiences alike heaped praise upon its mature themes. This article seems to be missing something. Now, I don't want to question the journalism prowess of The Wrap, but they seem to have missed a major point here. A major point that shows up in the graph they've used. Because if you look closely, it says minutes viewed in the final week in the millions. Those minutes being 674 million for the final week of Andor Season 1 and 931 million for the final week of Andor Season 2. Well, there's a slight problem there, isn't there? Because Season 1 finished its last week with one single episode, 54 minutes. Season 2 ended its last week with 3 episodes, 136 minutes. Now, this isn't the most scientific way to track how many viewers you're getting, but it's the system they're using, minutes watched. So to be fair, we should divide the minutes watched across the 3 episodes. 931 million minutes divided by 3 is 310.33 million minutes watched, which is less than half than the minutes watched in the last week of Season 1, which puts it here, below complete garbage, below every other Star Wars streaming show that Disney has produced. Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and The Acolyte all only had one single episode in their final week. Andor Season 2 had 3. That's half the audience. They lost half their audience from Season 1 to Season 2. Yet, they are trying to sell it as if the audience grew by 40%. That's not how math works, my friends. You can't have 3 times the amount of episodes and only grow by 40% in minutes watched. If you'd kept the same audience, it should have grown by 300% minutes watched. 40% is a disaster. Oh boy, less than The Acolyte. That's just a disgrace. The Acolyte, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan all had some of the worst storytelling I've ever seen in my life. Garbage shows made by complete morons that literally made no sense. They all had more viewers than Andor Season 2. Luckily for Disney, and they know it, we live in the age of headline journalism, where 99% of the people just read the headline and don't bother with the article. So if you can manage the numbers and dump 3 episodes instead of 1 on the public, you can magically have a hit that grew by 40%, even though the figures they give you don't add up to that. Now, this is why they release 3 episodes at a time, and this is why they only report minutes watched, because it's a bullshit convoluted way to pretend that Andor did well.
Oh no.
Now, if any show should have done well, it is Andor, regardless of whether you think it fits within the Star Wars framework. It's the only Disney Star Wars show to have a story that makes any type of sense. It has good performances, it's directed well, and it looks fantastic. It should have blown the other shows out of the water. But this is where Disney are bloody idiots, and they have no idea what they're doing, because they insist on lumping all the Star Wars shows in together. Every poster looks the same. They talk about every show the same way. They promote every show the same way. If they weren't so bloody lazy and made proper trailers for each show, they may be able to convince people it's worth watching. But instead, we just get sound bites and bloody quotes about how great everything is. It's as if Disney's never heard of the show don't tell, because all they do is tell us to watch these shows, tell us how bloody great they are, or tell us how many critics think it's the best thing in the history of mankind, but they don't actually show us what the show's going to be about. So the general public, the normies that don't keep up with all this, can't tell the bloody difference between all the shows.
We were blessed with a miracle.
the gift of life.
They could even have fun with it in the advertising. Remember classic Star Wars? Here's one for the kids. Oh, we haven't forgot about you weirdos. And here's one for people that actually like a proper story, even if that story's a little bit boring. Calm down, Andor fans. So this is why Star Wars will never get back the crowd they so desperately need, because they can't even tell what's good and what's bad. And they won't separate it at all, so the audience can tell what's good and what's bad. Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm's huge egos need to pretend that every bloody show's fantastic.
Leslie Headland is ushering in this new era of Star Wars.
The gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin.
So when they do get a good show, it just disappears in the murky, dirty mud that is now Star Wars. So sorry, Andor fans. By any measure, it was a well-made show, and light years above some of the other garbage Disney has made. But when you lose half your audience between Season 1 and Season 2, and Season 1 didn't even have a good audience to begin with, then I'm sad to say, that's a flop, my friends. Yep, Andor flopped hard, and you can blame Lucasfilm for it.
Yes, yes.